Greetings! My name's Joe Bob, and I'm very P. And welcome back to Crimson Gray. Last time we met our protagonist, a man who metaphorically sees the world all in gray, and then we used ourselves as a hostage to try and talk down a very interesting young woman, only to then be saved by her. So yeah. Also, there's something very fishy going on with the whole koi tech, I think it was called. Pushing not fully tested drugs on people. What the fuck is wrong with them? Anyways, so, suffice to say, things are getting quite interesting for this guy. Alright. In the morning, it all seemed even more unbelievable. John sleepwalked through his routine, half certain that he would find out it had all been a dream. But when he arrived at school, he found Lizzie waiting for him by the school entrance. She looked like she could have been waiting there the entire night. But that's ridiculous, because she's been outside our window the entire night. I don't know. When she saw him, though, her face lit up. Pictured here by her face being the same. John, you're finally here. I've been waiting so long. Good morning. Yes, it's a wonderful morning. I spent so long too nervous to talk to you, afraid that you would hate me. But we had such a nice talk, now I'm barely nervous at all. See, this is so, you know, you just go out and talk to your crushes, and even if you're a deranged weirdo, it'll all work out for the best. Follow Lizzie's example. But my heart, it still goes crazy every time you get near. John? Isn't it horrible that we have to be in different classes? Lovers shouldn't be separated like this. Will you eat lunch with me today? Please, won't you? But, lady, if I was in the same class as you, how would I focus on the class? She could sound so adorable. Normally, he'd be happy to have a girl like her asking to eat lunch together, but... Sure. On the roof again. No, there might be unkind people there, and you might feel sad again. No, I have the perfect place. Ooh. A little alcove of her own, eh? You don't want any, witnesses? No, that sounds like she's gonna murder me. I was trying to be, lewd, but it just came out as... Never mind. Where is it? That's a secret! That's a secret! I'll show you at lunchtime. He really wasn't sure how to feel about that. For once, John had something to look forward to. Or dread, he wasn't sure. The minutes seemed to crawl by until it was finally lunchtime. When he went looking for Lizzie, he discovered that she was waiting behind him, completely silent, watching him. Hi, Lizzie. Let's go, let's go! We don't need to go to the cafeteria, this way! She practically dragged him away from the school and onto one of the paths in the nearby forest. Soon they got far enough that they couldn't hear any sounds from the school. Here is perfect, just perfect. Lizzie faced away from him, giving a soft little laugh. Then, suddenly, she whirled around, thrusting something toward him. A lunchbox. I worked really hard on this. You have to eat it, you have to. If you think about it, this is sort of a, an interesting take on a cliche I've seen quite a bit since for a long time, which is the whole idea of some very depressed person being, you know, encountering a very happy-go-lucky girl that turns his life around and all that. There was this one game on Newgrounds I remember being really, I just found the female character really obnoxious in that. and it felt really inauthentic. But in this, it's sort of an interesting take on that, because the happy-go-lucky girl is, you know, easily just as mentally unwell as the main character is, but not in the cliche way either of actually being, or actually also being like really depressed as you see in certain characters, but just really, well, never mind. It's an interesting thing, anyways. I worked really hard on this. You have to eat it. You have to. Okay. Thanks, Lizzie. She gave a little squeal and promptly sat down on a small rock. It seemed that she had a second lunchbox of her own, but she kept it on her lap until he opened his. John was braced for a horror show, but to his surprise, it was just normal food. It actually looked pretty good. Yeah, being, deranged doesn't preclude someone from being a good cook. Or at the very least, having good taste in food. He took a bite, and it tasted good too. John realized that Lizzie was staring at him intensely, as if her life was on the line, so he smiled at her. It's really good. Yay! I worked so hard on it! So, do you want to just eat together, or...? This is a date, isn't it? We should get to know each other more. I want to know everything about you. Well, I'm nothing special. That's not true! Let me see. What to say? Despite himself, John found it easy to talk to her. He was sure he was sounding like an idiot, rambling about stupid mundane topics, yet she listened to every word with rapt attention. Yeah. It was bizarre to have someone actually care about his life. His father never had time, his friends were busy with their own things, Mrs. Smythe was just listening professionally, but Lizzie really cared. Yeah. It's nice to have someone who just really enjoys listening to you talk, you know? Even if they might not be interested in, even if they might not know much about the things that the topics that you're talking about, or might not even have much interest in them. They just enjoy hearing you be enthusiastic about them, or even just enjoy listening to you in general. It's nice. I'm glad to have married someone like that, all the way back at age 6. and you don't deserve context for that little tidbit. He knew that she wasn't well, that her obsession was probably a sickness. Yet a pathetic part of him didn't care, was just happy to have someone paying attention to him. There's nothing pathetic about that. It's the basis of civilization, if you think about it. Only after talking for a long time did he realize he was talking about himself like a self-centered jerk. She didn't seem to mind, but he still felt guilty. She asked for it. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. I can do that sometimes. Can you? I guess if people let you. Oh, don't apologize. I like listening to you talk. It's in my experience, the people who are least chatty are the ones that tend to be the ones that apologize for being chatty. Funny that. It's been pretty boring though. I mean, you already know a lot about me since you've got, you know, secret cameras in my house and you break in to watch me sleep. I don't know how she does that. I want to know everything about you. I've been watching you a long time. I know all the facts, but I still don't know everything. Yeah. More to a person's life than just the facts of their life. So yeah, I can't see inside your head. That's where the important parts of John are. but I can't see them. Yeah, no one ever really can. All they can do is give secondhand accounts. I wish there was a way to crack your head open. See all the thoughts inside. If only. Jean swallowed uncomfortably. You can always just ask me what I'm thinking, okay? Okay, you're so nice, John. So, Lizzie, tell me about yourself. Oh, there's nothing to tell. I'm not important. I just want to listen to you more. Don't say that about yourself. Yes, but if I want to know more about you, don't you want to tell me? John is so kind. I don't deserve him. You deserve the world. Don't we all? So, what about your parents? I live alone now. Neither of my parents wanted me anyway. I'm sure that's not true. They probably You don't have to make me feel better. I don't mind. You don't mind that your parents... My own mother called me a monster. I mean, she was right, but it still hurts. My father never loved me anyway, and my mother's dead now. Wow. That's rough, buddy. My parents separated too. They never made it formal, but yeah, they're separated. Mom doesn't like to visit, and Dad is always at work, so it's like he's not really there. You mean they just leave you alone? How horrible! How dare they leave you like that? Yeah, right back at you. Clubs. Are you in any after-school clubs? When he wasn't pulling the conversation away from troubling topics, John actually found himself enjoying their talk. Perhaps he was just happy to be talking to someone and actually managing to pay attention to their conversation. He finished every bite of the lunch without thinking about it. Given the way she stared at the last crumbs while he finished them, that was probably a good thing. You didn't put anything weird in that, did you? Like... I mean... Too late it occurred to him that she might have tampered with the lunch. Yet as she stared at him, so pleased that he had enjoyed it, John couldn't believe that she would do anything bad to him. Well... I'm not saying she would have put anything bad in there, but... Well, you get what I'm implying. Not that I mind. As soon as he had that thought, he remembered the tree and shivered involuntarily. Good times. After school, John had barely gotten out the door when he spotted Lizzie following him. It seemed as though she was stalking him at first. When he made eye contact, she gave him a sweet smile and skipped forward. John, let's walk home together. Do we live in the same direction? No, but don't worry. I'll walk back to my house later. Which meant she did know where he lived. He really needed to be more cautious. Cat's out of the bag now. Well, actually, all he knows, technically that just means that she knows which direction his house is in. But yeah, she probably knows where you live. Maybe we could do something else. You remember our promise? Yes. Getting medicine and therapy has really helped me a lot. I hope it will help you too. No, I think the easiest thing to do would be to take you to Mrs. Smythe. She could... No. No, I hate her. She's awful and she wants to take you away from me. Are you implying... That'd be pretty weird. But it's not out of the question. Now, her being awful. I don't know entirely if that's the case, but it does certainly seem to be implying that, considering, again, I hate to bang the same drum over and over again, but she's pushing not fully tested drugs on me and refusing to let me switch to something else. Kinda suspect. Not to mention that thing about the therapy sessions just sort of fading into nothingness. I mean, I don't know if that's like straight up hypnosis shit or something, but more likely it seems like it might just mean she's not a very good therapist. So I barely even register the therapy sessions. Then again, it could be hypnotherapy. Wait a second, that's not true. She just wants to help. Sean is too nice. He can't see what kind of person she is. I have to protect him. Whoa, Lizzie, wait, calm down. If you don't want to talk to Mrs. Smythe, we can do something else, alright? Okay. So probably best not to choose a woman. There had to be male Koitek pharmacists in town. Maybe one of them could prescribe something. I'm not certain it's her being a woman that's setting her off, but maybe. It could be jealousy, or at least that could be part of the case. It's kind of interesting how quickly how quickly her mood shifts. Could be a sign of some mental thing, but then again, I myself am. Well, never mind. Really though, if you just have people who if you have a certain degree of control over your own mental state, it can be very easy to switch to completely change your demeanor on a dime. You know, it can be kind of off-putting, especially since you can sometimes do it without even really thinking. Uh-oh. Shit. I alt-tab to make sure everything was, like, recording properly, and then it crashed. Okay. Oh, shit. Ha! Damn it, I accidentally quit the game. That's telling I can't. Okay. Thank goodness I saved. Yeah. There had to be male Koitek pharmacists in town. Maybe one of them could prescribe something. But he really wasn't sure how that worked. He had been counting on Mrs. Smythe to guide the process, but now he'd have to figure it out himself. Yeah. So you've never shopped around for other therapists? It doesn't surprise me. Even people in healthy states of mind can find that difficult to actually find the motivation to do so, even though it's quite important. Lizzie, I need to do a little research first. Is that okay? Okay, I'll follow you. Maybe it would be easier if I did it myself? No, I don't like that idea. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? You can bring another lunch. Okay, see you tomorrow, John. He hoped that medication would help her stabilize. After all, she'd be cute if... You mean she'd be cute if... She is cute. Why exactly was he doing this? He had told himself it was to help her, and make sure no one got hurt. But now he was hoping she could become normal and stay with him. Pathetic. He couldn't get a girlfriend normally, and so he had to take advantage of some poor girl's obsession? Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of dating someone in hopes of changing them is a bit suspect to begin with. It's a bit odd. But again, you're being too hard on yourself. Even people who in much healthier states of mind can fall victim to the old "I can change her" mindset. Just remember, you're doing something good. You're helping someone. Even if you're... even if you might have, you know, romantic inclinations towards her, as long as you don't use those as an excuse to manipulate her, well, you'll be fine. I promise. And I don't go back on my word. I'll see you through this. I'll see you both through it. If I can. For now, it didn't matter. She really did need help, and he might be able to get her to it. It was just a question of how. That's the spirit. The best way was probably to ask for advice, either from Mrs. Smythe or a pharmacist. He could try to research some himself, though he doubted he'd be any good at it. And I suppose it wouldn't hurt to ask her if she was taking anything else, or had allergies or something. Damn it, he should have done that earlier. Now it was too late to... John realized that she was still following him. He shouldn't have been surprised. Okay, so asking her was still an option. But he only had so much time before he had to get home and do his schoolwork, so he needed to choose carefully. Fuck the schoolwork! You can turn in a... You can afford getting a slightly lower grade if it means helping her, right? Okay. Anyways. Talk to Mrs. Smythe. I don't trust her. Let's talk to Lizzie. Just go home early. Wow, that'd be pretty callous. John walked along the street until he was sure that Lizzie was slinking after him, then turned and waved to her. She waved back. Hi, John. Did you change your mind? Can we go home together? I knew you... No, I just wanted to check with you. Are you taking any medication right now? Have you had any bad reactions in the past? Oh no, I've never taken anything. My mother always took too many drugs. It scared me when I was little. I see. Are you sure you're really alright taking medication now, then? Ah, John is so considerate. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I see you take your medicine every day to try to get better. I want to be like you. Well, hopefully I'm a positive role model. So, I mean, I might be so stable it might kill me, but maybe you could use a little bit of that stability. I could use a little bit of your, everything. Okay, good, I think. I hope it will help. I'll take anything you give me, John. The worst part is, I don't even know if that's an unintentional double entendre. Stepping out onto the street, John glanced at his watch and decided he had some more time to research his options. Let's do a bit of our own research. Stopping by the library, John did his best to research possible medications among the books, even asking the librarians for help. It felt really ineffectual. He wished there was a better way to get information, but there weren't a lot of options. In one of his classes, they'd claimed that computers would eventually make things easier, but their school couldn't afford any. Interesting. So do you not have a computer of your own? Is this... Interesting. So is this like a time before, like, the internet was so widespread then? Because they're saying, like, computers would eventually make things easier. If this was, like, in modern times, then he could easily, or even, like, 10 or even, like, 10 or 20 years ago, maybe even, he could just look up the medications and such. Then again, the internet is not the most reliable source in the world, but never mind that. I think it's the first... Hmm. And if this is... Interesting. And of course, I don't even know where this is taking place. Or do I? I don't remember if it was mentioned. I don't think it was. And different places, whatever things, like... Anyways. One of the few things he could do was skim through various books about mental illness for references to symptoms like Lizzie's. Her case sounded much worse than anything he'd read about. All the articles suggested that most mentally ill people were non-violent, but he knew that wasn't true of Lizzie. Does he? I mean... towards people, I mean. She did burn down that tree, yes. And she did, you know, have the knife and all that, but is she actually, like, straight up violent? I mean, anyone could be violent if under the right circumstances. But is she, like, predisposed to violence? I don't know. She's at least better than a lot of yanderes and such from the stuff, because, you know, she did real watch all those people, you know, insult him and all that, make him sad, and she didn't do anything about it. She didn't, like, attack them or anything, as far as I know. But I think we'd know if she did. We probably would have mentioned it. Or been a lot more wary of her than just saying she's weird. So, hard to say, really. Well, need more data. Though there wasn't a lot of current information about Koitek, he did find some. There were crackpots who felt their medicine was ineffective. Even Paxagene had critics who felt it was being rushed to market. It is! I mean, unless it's taking place, like, in a time where, like, regulations were a lot looser. I don't know. Like, the FDA nowadays has is the way it is, but maybe, like, 50 years ago is different, but... I don't know. Also, crackpots they say they're medics. Crackpots is a very demeaning term for people who are just skeptical about their medication. You didn't even say they were saying it's like causing horrible mutations or has microchips from the government or anything. They're just like, perhaps it's not as effective as they say. And that's a reasonable concern, especially for medications that deal with mental issues, which are really hard to actually... It's really hard to tell if they're actually having a positive effect. It's especially due to, you know, placebo effect and everything. And they can have side effects that nobody even realizes is caused by them that can have devastating effects. And even the known side effects can be pretty devastating. And sometimes do more harm than good. John forced himself to stop reading about that, since it just made him feel worse. Instead, he focused on selecting potential drugs for Lizzie. Two showed up as potential candidates, Yandequil and Nilazine. According to the studies, Nilazine calmed people down but tended to flatten emotions, which a lot of patients hated. By contrast, Yandequil had better reviews. Yes, yanderes tend to have better reviews than nihilism. Other than nausea as a side effect, it seemed to do a good job of calming violent people. Interesting. But, whether either of the drugs would be right for Lizzie, that was an entirely different question. I don't know. I feel like selecting a drug called, well, Yandequil might be a poor omen. Not to mention, if the fact that Nilazine seems to have, you know, an unfortunate side effect, whereas Yandequil seems too good to be true. Hmm. Suspicious. Let's, but before we make a decision, let's let's go back and the pharmacist. I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, going to the next day. John explored the part of town where he thought he remembered a Koitek pharmacy. It turned out his memory was right. It was staffed by a male pharmacist. The middle-aged man gave him a perfunctory nod and listened patiently enough as John described Lizzie's symptoms without mentioning her directly. I'd recommend Paxitine or Serosine. Either one can... No, that's not enough. Excuse me, young man, I don't think... I'm on Paxitine. This isn't that simple of a problem. I'm worried she might hurt someone. I see. Is there something you should tell me, young man? No, I just want to help. I wish someone had made me get some help earlier, and I want to be that person for her. If the condition is serious, I do have 2 suggestions. You'd need a blood test to prescribe either one, though. What do you suggest? Either Nilazine or Yandequel. Nilazine is better if the problem is mental. Yandequel if the problem is emotional. I think what he's saying is like it's the difference between it being an issue with her mind, like something wrong, like something to do with like her mind working a bit differently, so to speak, versus, you know, emotional would be something that's like caused by, would be like emotional imbalances and such. It definitely seems to be the former, as far as I can tell. She does seem to be more or less in control of herself. She just is a bit... It's just that her... Like, she's in control of herself. It's just that she isn't quite normal, so to speak. It's the driving will that's a bit off. Yes. Unfortunately, it was probably both. That's also probably the case. Thanks for letting me know about those. I'll see if I can't convince her. But don't take my word for it. I'm no psychotherapist. I'm a psychotherapist, though. And that I'm a therapist that's psycho. Not many people your age would go to so much trouble for a classmate. You're a good kid. Strangely, the man's words actually made John feel better. What's strange about that? Maybe he really was doing the right thing with all this. It was getting late, and John realized he needed to get home quickly if he wanted to have time for his homework. On his way back, he was sure that Lizzie was following him, but he couldn't get a clear look at her. At least it was only one more day until the weekend. Friday passed faster than John had expected. Lizzie was nearby at all times and they ate lunch together, but things were almost normal. Almost. Just when he started to get comfortable, she would give a giggle that went on a little too long, or slide a hand toward where she hid her knife, or respond far more enthusiastically than she should. Maybe... Was it bad of him to think she was really cute despite all that? No. It would be bad of you to let all that get in the way of thinking she was cute. She could be nice if she wasn't so... well... But John hated it when his friends suggested he could be fun if he wasn't depressed, and that thought left an ugly knot in his stomach. Well, it wasn't long now. Maybe she could get some real help. He made it through his last class, almost slipped through his session with Mrs. Smythe, then headed home. John finished his homework and chores as fast as he could and went to sleep. Going out in public always drained him, and he wanted to have enough energy for the weekend. He woke up too early, his eyes gritty and his head still mired in half-remembered dreams. John got up to get a drink and happened to glance out the window. Lizzie was standing outside his house with a huge smile on her face. After staring at her for a moment, John groaned and went back to bed. Just like, I'm not gonna deal with this right now. That's a reasonable response to that. The second time he woke up, the sun had already risen. He felt a little better, but not much. Normally he would stay at home all weekend, but he couldn't do that if he wanted to help Lizzie. She was still standing outside his house, in exactly the same place, with exactly the same cheerful expression. He should go out and check on her, make sure she hasn't been the victim of a organ or cockatrice or something like that. John brushed his teeth, got dressed, combed his hair. He realized he was acting like he was getting ready for a date. Aren't you? True, he had sort of accepted her confession. John decided that was just what he'd have to deal with now, if he wanted to have a connection with her. Well, at least he was going to go out with a cute girl. He hadn't done that since middle school, and those were childish relationships. Yeah, always look on the bright side of life. Sure, you might be going through horrible shit, and she might also be going through horrible shit, but at least you're going through horrible shit together. Or something like that. Of course, this was the only way he could get a date. Pathetic. Don't be so hard on yourself. Oh. Wow. She looks old. She looks older like this. It looks nice on her. In her uniform, she looked, you know, a tad childish, but here she looks, but like this, she looks almost mature. It's nice. Finishing his preparations, John headed outside. He hadn't noticed from his house, but Lizzie had gotten dressed up for the occasion. He'd never seen her outside her school uniform, and it made him hesitate for a moment. Damn. She'd obviously put an effort into making herself look good, and she did. It would have been nice if not for how it made him worry about the level of importance she was attaching to the day. As soon as Lizzie saw him, her smile became even brighter than it had been while waiting. John, I'm ready. Good morning, Lizzie. Did you sleep alright? Oh, I didn't sleep. Let's go. Yeah, I know that feeling. I haven't had a good night's sleep since 1991. She practically dragged him down the street, apparently heading for the bus station. Yet instead of looking forward, her gaze was fixed behind her on him. Don't run into anything, that would be awkward. Do you have a plan, John? This is our first date. It needs to be perfect. Putting me on the spot there. Shit, he should have known she'd treat it this way. It wasn't like he hadn't had enough time. He used to be good at planning. What was wrong with him? Several things. Other than clinical depression. Oh yeah, that pretty much sums it up. God, he was such a mess. I mean... Alright, he had to think. Think, John, think. He used to be able to think on his feet. He could do this. So, I want to deal with the medication issue first, so the rest of the day can be fun, right? Good idea. Stall for time. Sure. Whatever you want. If we get a blood test, we'll need to wait a while. I think we could get the test first, then eat breakfast, then get the results. That should give us the entire rest of the day. Or make it out, I don't know. That's such a great plan. Let's hurry. John was glad to hear her respond so happily, but wondered if she would have said that no matter what he told her. Possibly. I was thinking we could stand here and watch paint dry. They took a bus across town to the furthest pharmacy and ordered a standard Koitex sampling through the the streets where the rapture just happened, and thus there's literally no one here. Well, better than having shadow people, I suppose. He'd been nervous that Lizzie might react poorly to the needle, but she just smiled sweetly at him while they took a bit of her blood, and hopped back up. Ugh. Alright, just hydrating a bit. What's the last game like this I played had a bit of voice acting, so I didn't have to talk so much. Voice was getting a bit parched. Look, the Band-Aid has little kitties on it. It's so cute. You want something to eat? You want to eat something now, then? Yes. Yes. Hopefully not me. They walked to a nearby bakery, and he bought them a pair of pastries. One of the only advantages of his workaholic father was that at least he had a decent amount of spending money. Lizzie held hers in both hands and began cheerfully nibbling on the end of it. She stared at him while she was doing it, but otherwise she looked ordinarily cute instead of scarily cute. Nom nom nom. I didn't know you could act silly. Hee hee. Hee hee. I don't hear you laugh very often. You usually look so sad, and that makes me sad too. And like that, his good mood crumbled. I know, I'm always ruining everything. I don't know why anyone stays near me when I just... No! Lizzie took his pastry and stuffed it in his mouth to shut him up. You're not depressing at all, John. Just being around you makes me feel warm inside. I just want to see you smile more. When you smile, I feel like maybe everything will be alright. His attempt to talk her on the pastry made Lizzie giggle, which made him laugh, which just set off a vicious cycle. After a fit of coughing, he had lost half his pastry, but regained his good mood. It had been a long time since an emotional downturn hadn't sent him spiraling toward depression. Lizzie grinned at him, and he smiled back at her. All at once, he felt guilty for trying to convince her to take medication. Who is he to tell her what to do? Worse, was he manipulating her obsession like this? It was only to help her, but did that make it any better? Yes? Otherwise... I mean, that's kind of what therapists do all the time. Because, like, you know, therapists can't exactly fix you for you. They have to manipulate you into fixing yourself and all that. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of interactions between people, especially people who are close, is manipulation in a sense. Motivation matters a lot, as do results. The thoughts troubled him, but they remained in the back of his mind as they finished eating, talking lightly. But then they were finished, and it had been a while since the test. It was time to go back. Let's go get the results, okay? Will John think differently about me? No, I'm already perfectly aware that you're deranged. That's what I like about you. No, I just want to find a way to help you, okay? Okay. She answered cheerfully, but something in the lightheartedness they'd shared was gone, and it wasn't coming back. Swallowing, John steeled himself and walked with her back to the pharmacy. Lizzie slowed near the entrance, then shuffled backward. I'll stay here. You can bring me what I need, okay? Okay, no problem. Inside, he found the pharmacist writing something on a clipboard. When he spotted John, he immediately frowned. That bad, huh? You're alone? I suppose that's for the best, anyway. We need to talk. Is something wrong? She's not sick, is she? It isn't that kind of test. It only takes a snapshot of a person's current condition. Is your friend going through a difficult time right now? Well, I mean, maybe a little. These are some extraordinary numbers. Most people only see those briefly, during the worst days of their lives. Take care of her until things pass, alright? Okay. What do you mean by numbers? I mean, like... You could have... I mean, like, she's got, like, her hormone... some, like, hormones of hers are, like, running out of control or something? Maybe adrenaline? I don't know. There's something else I have to ask. It won't be comfortable, but it's necessary. Have you ever gotten any sense that she might hurt herself or anyone else? Hard to say, really. No, I can't imagine her doing anything like that. The lie was out of his mouth before he had even consciously decided to lie. John regretted it immediately, yet now it was too late to contradict himself. The pharmacist grunted and looked over his papers. Yeah, that's probably for the best. I don't think she's exactly covered at the moment under patient confidentiality. Who knows what kind of trouble she could get into. Well, keep a close eye on her. Even the gentlest person could be capable of violence under conditions like these. Is it really that bad? I thought she seemed better lately. No, there must be some recent trauma she hasn't told you about. I'm certain of it. I mean, someone with numbers like these regularly, they would be completely incurable. Insane, probably, and definitely a threat to society. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply anything. I'm sure she'll work through things and go back to normal soon. So, can you prescribe anything? I can give you 2 weeks of either Yandaquil or Nilazine. That should get her over the rough patch. Just 2 weeks? Can't you prescribe more? Not without a much more extensive evaluation. But like I said, that's all you'll need. I'm sure she'll recover soon. I really should be asking her directly, but in her present condition, I think it'd be safer to bend the rules and let you act like a family member. So, which one do you think would be best for her? This is 100% an important decision. I think Nilazine is the best option here. Probably. Yeah, let's go for it. I like to live dangerously. 2 weeks of Nilazine coming up. Try to help her rest, okay? Yeah, okay. Heading outside, John handed the bag to Lizzie. He had pushed pretty hard to get to this point, but he would never force her to take the medication. His father had used to talk like he didn't have a choice about depression medication, practically threatened to force feed him. John refused to do that to anyone else. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. But Lizzie didn't make an issue of it at all. Smiling at him, she opened the bag, shook out one of the pills, and swallowed it without even taking a drink. She'd given the label a careful look, though. Okay, that's a change in... Look at our eyes. Going dark. Okay. I hope you can love me now, John. I think I could learn to love you regardless. This is for your sake, not mine. Well, not entirely mine. Lizzie, no. I never meant anything like that. Please don't... That didn't taste bad at all. So can we go on with our date now, John? Can we? He wanted to go back to what she had said, reassure her that he had meant nothing wrong by it, but his words stuck in his mouth. Maybe on some level he did mean to force her. Maybe he was repeating everything that had been done to him. But with Lizzie smiling at him like that, he couldn't fall too far into depression. Instead, John smiled back and gestured for her to follow. Without any great ideas, John thought they should go to a park. Their town had a pretty nice park, and it was usually empty at this time of day. His friends always said that a movie was the best first date, but he suspected they mostly wanted to try and cop a feel. Besides, he was worried Lizzie would end up watching him instead of the movie. It's well, partly it's that. Well, it's partly about, you know, wanting them to wanting to go to like a good movie so that they'll have like a good memory to look back on without even if they actually, you know, aren't a very good date, they'll, you know, it'll be associated with the good memory of that movie, and they'll also have something to talk about afterwards. It's well, and also, yeah, probably partly to cop a feel. In the park, Lizzie happily skipped along the paths, often looking back to him, but at least looking at a lot of other things. As he watched, he realized that she was definitely calmer than usual. Her sweet cheerfulness seemed natural, not manic, and she even smiled at people that passed them sometimes. Could it really be the Nilazine? With him, the Paxine had taken weeks to work. And whether or not it actually helped had been really unclear. Then again, Lizzie was her own case. And it might just be the fact that you're on a date, you know? Or it could be that she's trying to, trying for your sake. Be a bit more normal. Of course, it took more than drugs to cure a serious condition. He knew that all too well. As Mrs. Smythe had said, therapy was also an important component of recovery. Hers had certainly helped him a lot. But you're forgetting the most important piece of that trifecta: a support network. In other words, and well, you'll do for a start, I suppose. Ah, yes, exactly. The third main component was a social support network, and there he completely failed to take her advice. He still spent most of his time alone or in meaningless old relationships. But hey, now he was walking in a park with a girl his age. Maybe things were looking up. That's the spirit. And for once in his life, things went his way. Lizzie was happy to eat fast food for lunch, and didn't even try to feed him anything. Afterward, he was pretty much out of plans, and Lizzie didn't want to stop. Fortunately, she was happy to drag him around town to see random things. In a way, he was grateful for that. He had spent all his energy for making decisions during the morning. It was easy to just glide along in her wake. In that way, she was a good match for him. When the sun started setting, John was actually surprised. Did the day really pass that quickly? He could barely drag himself through a lot of weekends. This was a welcome change. Holy shit! Oh fuck, I forget their voices. Eh, whatever. They don't matter. Holy shit, is that John? With a girl? Hey guys. Oh shit, a third classmate. Is that the crazy chick you told me about? Oh yeah, that's definitely her. Are you that desperate, John? Given how much of a sad sack he's been lately, I'm pretty sure he is. Do any of you have girlfriends? Oh! Ooh! You guys talk too much shit. Just leave Lizzie out of it, okay? Oh, fuck you, John. If she wasn't crazy, you could never get a girl as cute as her. Lizzie? Could you please murder them for me? That'd be great. She is pretty hot. I don't see why she's with you. Because she, unlike you idiots, has the slightest shred of empathy, perhaps. Yeah, this really doesn't make any sense. And like all fools and cretins out there, you confuse lack of understanding for some kind of insult. When really, it's only an insult towards you. Oh, John, are you gonna cry? Better not, or she'll realize how pathetic you are. His positive mood was completely gone. He knew he should check out to see how Lizzie was taking the mocking, but it was the most he could do to not fall into a mire of self-hatred. As always, he felt like he should be stronger than this, less emotionally fragile, and that just added to his self-hatred. If it had been anyone else, he might have crashed completely. But he knew these guys, and he was at least familiar with their attitudes. John pulled himself together and faked a smile at them. Sounds like sour grapes to me. You all have fun with each other, okay? Come on, Lizzie, let's get out of here. His classmates just scoffed. John considered taking Lizzie's hand and pulling her away, but worried about how she would react. And after a moment of hesitation, it was too late. Listen here, you piece of... Without warning, Lizzie stepped past John and directly into his classmates' faces. He caught a glimpse of her, and she seemed strangely focused. Then he could only see the back of her head. John is a good person. Holy shit, she's practically humping you. You shouldn't say unkind things about good people. Her voice sounded sweet, but his classmates took several steps backward. John was suddenly very grateful that he couldn't see her face. I've had a nice day today. I hope you all have a nice day too. Fuck this, we're out! They scrambled, just barely slow enough that they weren't running away. Lizzie stayed exactly where she had been standing, entirely still. John wanted to say something, but his mouth was too dry. Fucking hey, lady! I thought you were gonna beat the shit out of them, but this is even better. You fucking had them fleeing in terror with just a couple of words. Hell yes. And they can't even really get upset at you because all you did was wish them a nice day. Awesome. Let's keep going, okay, John? Sure. But they hadn't gone far before John realized they couldn't follow up on that. He had pulled himself together long enough to walk away, but now he had nothing left. It was all too much. He wasn't usually outside and in public this much, and though being with Lizzie wasn't bad, he wasn't stable enough for this much interaction. Or at the very least this much shitty interaction. John, are you okay? I'm tired. I think I need to go home. Is something wrong? Did I do something wrong? He could hear the tremor in her voice. Knew she needed affirmation, but the apathy was choking him to death. He had no energy for anyone else, no energy for anything but getting back home, curling up and wishing he was dead. Yeah. That's kind of the problem. Kind of the trouble with two mentally unstable people. Supporting each other. Sometimes she person really needs their insecurities. You know. Sometimes someone really needs you. Sometimes you can just not have the energy to be there for them, and when they really don't need their insecurities fed. But what are you gonna do? It'll get better, I promise. I'll make it better. I'll make it better. Somehow he said goodbye, found the bus, and got all the way back home. The events passed like he was suffocating in gauze, the world around him too unreal to have any effect. Maybe he should have reassured Lizzie, but it didn't matter. He was an idiot for thinking he could help her. Nothing he did mattered. And on that sobering note, I think it's time to end the video. Yeah. It's not all gonna be uphill. Isn't that right? But, as I said, it'll get better. You'll get better, she'll get better, we'll all get better. I'll make it better. I promise you, John. I promise you. And at least, yeah, at least we're making progress, even if it's stop and start and 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But until next time, I have been Joe Bob, and I'm very peeved. And remember, dislike the video, unsubscribe if you're for some reason subscribed, and leave a nasty comment in the comment section down below. Fuck you all so much for watching, and so long, suckers.
You're gonna be okay, kid.